Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golden Astrologer podcast. This is Deb McBride, and I am recording this in lovely Escazú, Costa Rica, on Sunday, the 1st of September in the year 2024. And yes, indeed, it is September. So we have 4 months left to this year, and it's just unbelievable. But I always go on about how quickly time passes. And we have a week chock full of aspects and interesting vibes. So let's get into it. Currently, we are in a big day. This is the 1st of September that I spoke about last week on my podcast here on the Golden Astrologer. And it is a big outer planet shift change day. As you may recall from last week, I was talking about the stationary retrograde of the planet Uranus, which moved backwards this morning, or apparent backwards motion, 11:18 a.m. Eastern time this morning, which was 9:18 a.m. for me. And, Uranus is an interesting dynamic. First of all, I don't know about the rest of you, but this is a definite night of wacko sleep. So, you go to bed, you get into bed, and you think it's going to be a nice, restful night because you're tired. But when I was tossing and turning so much, I'm like, oh, yeah, it's Uranus. Because this is a very lively planet. It's not Neptune. It's not, gee, I'm tired and I don't know why. I'm exhausted but I'm wired. I'm tired and wired at the same time. This is a very Uranian energy. Uranus is not something that is calming. It is a very agitated energy that is lively and active and surprising and like strokes of lightning out of nowhere. Things can happen, words can come. So this transit, the stationary retrograde, is a little unsettling for all of us. I talked about this last week. I talked about it on Instagram a couple days ago, preparing people for the fact that this might be uncomfortable, and uncomfortable it has been. I actually feel more settled now, but I can tell you that it dawned on me on Friday that the wide square between Mercury stationing direct and Uranus stationing retrograde really was affecting people and me, and the stories I was hearing, and the people who were talking to me. And it was a very interesting dynamics because Wednesday, Mercury went direct. Hurrah, we remember that. It's like, yeah, Mercury's direct, finally. That was a long one, right? But Mercury went direct at 21 degrees Leo. And Uranus went retrograde at 27 degrees Taurus, which is also a fixed sign and does challenge Leo. So they challenge one another. But it was wide enough for me to think, nah, I think that they'll be okay. No, no, they were 6 degrees or so apart. And I have to say, it was really agitating. It was irritating. I was irritated. And also, when I talked to people at the end of the week, like I had conversations with people, and they weren't happy. People were not happy. They were a little frustrated. They were a little sad. Some of them were a lot sad. Some people got surprised out of nowhere with information that really bothered them, and I wish I had known this before, and why didn't they tell me, and why weren't they upfront with me, etc., that kind of thing. And people just frustrated and irritated and angry, but not really angry, just really irritated. And I could tell that people weren't happy, and it made me a little sad for people because I'm empathic. And it really made me also, I said I was irritated. So I couldn't put my finger on what I was irritated about, but I knew that it wasn't, it wasn't something that was staring me in the face. It was just a lot of little things that were irritating. And I felt the sort of fingernails on the blackboard of Uranus and Mercury doing this to one another. So one planet was stopped going forward, one planet was stopped going backwards. And even though they were going in opposite directions, yes, this made them come closer. And so Mercury and Uranus was really just about this discomfort. It's like wearing an itchy sweater. It's like, why am I uncomfortable? Oh yeah, the sweater is itching me. It's that I need something to move. I need something to move forward. I need something to not be irritating me. Why isn't it moving forward, etc., etc., those kinds of things. And impatience. There was a lot of impatience going on with this. And neither one of those planets are patient planets. Even though Uranus is in Taurus, it's shaking up that patience that Taurus has. Taurus is a very patient sign. They can stick it out. They're loyal. They hang in there no matter what. It takes a lot for a Taurus to get irritated enough to leave a situation, okay? But Uranus there changes that dynamic and that field of experience. Mercury talking to Uranus is really more impatient. Like, okay, come on, let's get on with it. What do you want with it? It's that. And then yesterday, the moon came over Mercury and triggered it and made this even more irritating. And right now, the moon is really squaring Uranus as I speak, and it's in an exact square. So now that Mercury's moving forward, Mercury has moved a degree since it went direct on Wednesday, which is good. But Uranus isn't going anywhere. Uranus is staying. It's a slow outer planet. It's not really moving this week. And so what we're going to see is that Mercury is going to collide in that square with Uranus, and that will be between Friday and Saturday, depending on where you live. Most likely, whoever I'm talking to here, it's Saturday. Because if you live in Europe and if you live in Australia, it's going to be Saturday, the 7th. If you live on the east coast of the United States, it's going to be wee hours of the morning, Saturday the 7th. But Pacific Coast, United States, Friday the 6th. And for me, Friday the 6th, later at night, like 11:20 at night. Okay, so this is something agitating. And as Mercury moves closer and closer to Uranus, the peak of the agitation will rise. And you need to be aware of that as we move closer and closer to this exact square. Remember that they are finishing a story. This is a story that we started when Mercury first squared Uranus back on the 21st of July. That was a podcast day. You might want to go back and listen to that. And then there was a second square when Mercury was already retrograde. So Mercury was direct, squared Uranus, moved into Virgo, then went retrograde, came back and squared Uranus again on the 19th of August, which was only a couple weeks ago. And now we're going to get it again next weekend. So this is the third part of the story. Now, each part of this story has had its own dynamics because as Mercury went retrograde in Virgo, we each got new information. So there was no known information in this story back when it first squared, or maybe there was the hint of it, and then when Mercury went retrograde, all sorts of information came forward, and then squared again on the 19th of August, and here we are again. So this has been a little bit of an irritation. Where have you been? Where have you been? That 19th of August coincided with that big day of the full moon and a lot of information passing that day. That was the first Jupiter-Saturn square. That was Venus squaring Jupiter. That was when we had Venus wrapped up in the T-square of Jupiter and Saturn. So this is very important, okay? This is a lot of dynamics. This is more information, part of what we're figuring out right now. And then once Mercury goes back into Virgo, which is next Sunday, we're going to start coming out of this. And it'll take another couple days. Mercury will be out of its shadow, but not right now. We still have another week left of Mercury approaching Uranus and the dynamic of that. It's great for bright ideas. It's great for special tasks. It's great for epiphanies and realizations and opening your mind. It's great for, figuring things out, problem solving. And it's great for creativity, right? Because Mercury and Uranus can be a deeply creative duo. So I highly recommend those things, Uranus is the planet of surprises, brilliance, genius, innovation, revolution. It's the planet of independence. It's the planet of freedom, liberation. We want to be free under Uranus. And in this case, with Mercury, free up your thinking. But Uranus shifting like this, Uranus takes risks. Uranus is a risk taker. Might not love to take risks, especially in a fixed sign like Taurus, but it's definitely shakes us out of complacency. And so with our Uranus going backwards until the end of January next year, so we've got quite a few months left, but it'll fly by because it always does. Back to time flying, right? It's really a time to contemplate where you might be playing small and not taking risks, where you might be needing a shakeup in what you hold on to too tightly in the sense of security, because that's what Taurus does. Where have you gotten complacent, and where do you need some brilliant ideas to come in? This is a great time to dig into that, wherever the Taurus portion of your astrological chart is. And remember, our friends Jupiter and Uranus, Uranus joined with Jupiter back in April. And so there's been some shaking up of that energy in Taurus. So where do we want to move forward? That was a marking point right there. And what messages have we received since then, and where are we going? Where are we going with our stepping out of complacency, okay? Now, that's Uranus, okay? Then there's Pluto. Pluto that I mentioned last week, and Pluto that we've been talking about, and Pluto that has, while I'm talking to you just now, has stepped back into Capricorn, okay? Back into Capricorn at 29 degrees, 59 minutes. So now Pluto is officially back in Capricorn, and we have to tie up the loose ends of the last 16 years. Capricorn is about responsibility. It's about work, integrity, governments, rules, regulations, things that are passed down from those in charge. And Pluto is now back there for the first time all year since January 20th or so. And now we're going to spend the next 2.5 months till November 19th with Pluto and Capricorn, and then we're done. And then we're finished. And Pluto will not see Capricorn again for another 250 years, okay? We won't have to worry about that. But right now, the task at hand, and it is a task because it's Capricorn, right? We have to tie up the loose ends, solve the problems, come up with solutions, and put it all to sleep for good. Everything from the last 16 years. What lingers in your field from the last 16 years? Were there family arguments? Were there divorces? Were there long-term contracts that you sought to leave? Were there things being released and let go of? Maybe your house, maybe your job, maybe an old relationship, maybe there's something that is asking you to close the door on it, release it, let it go, and move forward. This has been quite a 16 years. Remember how it all started with banks being bailed out and the Bernie Madoffs and their Ponzi schemes and new governments being put in place and the experience of the financial crashes and what they meant for everyone. I think people hold on to their money very tightly, which is a very conservative Capricorn thing to do when stuff happens like that. Obviously, this is the knee-jerk reaction is to hang on. It doesn't help the economy, but it is something that is just an emotional fear reaction, because remember what I said, when Pluto changes signs, and actually the outer planets, all of them, when they change signs, they provoke a deep-seated collective unconscious anxiety. And it's just that. It's not necessarily real. It's a what if, oh my God, this happens. So we have to just deal with our feelings, our emotions around these things, around money, around authority figures, around governments, around all the stuff that we've been sorting out for the last 16 years. And we've been enjoying the new feeling of Pluto in Aquarius for the last almost the full year, 9 months or so. And it's been an interesting ride. We've learned new things. We feel a new energy. And now these next 2.5 months might feel like yesteryear. So we have to just work with this energy and recognize what it is that we have to close the door on now, or what we have to go back and make amends about. Maybe you have to make amends. Maybe forgiveness is part of something. And remember, forgiveness is something that frees you up. It's not, you're not absolving someone who did something bad to you. You are forgiving because your energy gets caught up in that if you don't. So it's time to let go of these things from all these years. And it's important to move forward because we're moving into a whole new paradigm with Pluto and Aquarius. And of course, I'm going to talk about that more and more. This is a theme, and we're going to see it in society, and we're going to see it in our lives, and it's going to come up for review. So I offer that you pay attention and that you connect with what is the experience of your last 16 years, how you handled it, what it was about for you. And I want you to know that October 11th is when Pluto goes direct. So we have a little over a month. So half of this 2.5 months that we have of Pluto in Capricorn, half of it, Pluto's retrograde. The other half, Pluto is direct, and then it moves into Aquarius again. But this is so important because this retrograde time, these weeks, these 5 weeks or so, till Pluto goes direct, this is where the real inner work is going to happen. Once it goes direct, then we can turn the situations around, and then we know we're full speed ahead to Aquarius, and that's it. We're done. Okay? It feels like penance. It feels like penance. I said Pluto in Capricorn was a dark time. I think it was. It felt that way. We're supposed to become masters of our craft. We're supposed to be working on our great work. We're supposed to be, finding our true talents and abilities, because the Capricorn is all about the 10th house, the vocation. So maybe what's happened for you is your vocation shifted and changed during these 16 years. Maybe you got deeper into your vocation, or maybe you need to go deeper and it's like you're stepping forward into something new. This is going to be an interesting ride these next weeks. So please pay close attention to what's happening in your life and what is provoking you to go forward, and what is calling your name, and what do you have to say goodbye to, and what do you need to release and let go of. Okay? We're all in this transition together. We are all in it together. Everyone is going through it on Earth. The world is going through this. The collective unconscious, we're going through this together. Okay? You're going to see people change, let go, release, move away, say goodbye. You're going to see people maybe fall apart a little bit. But these are the last moments. Dig in and let go of what you need to. You don't want to, it's like you're moving into a new home with Pluto and Aquarius. You don't want to bring the old furniture with you, right? The old baggage. You always clear up your house, right? Before you move, don't you throw things away? Yeah. Give them away, donate. That's what we're doing. Cleaning house. Then we have tomorrow. Tomorrow is a new moon. It is at 9:56 p.m. Eastern Time. It is at 11 degrees Virgo. This is a new moon that is going to swing open the door to the eclipse period. Ta-da! It's eclipse time again, folks. Okay, so what do we know? We know that the lunation that precedes the eclipses starts the eclipse period rolling. It means that we enter the eclipse period, but we do not have eclipses just yet. It means that this is not an eclipse, that the full moon coming up in September will be an eclipse, and it will be in the sign of Pisces. It's a lunar eclipse. Then that will be September 17th, and then there'll be a solar eclipse in the sign of Libra on October 2nd. And in the meantime, you're going to feel the energy getting revved up. What is it telling you? What is this about? Where are you going? Where is this energy landing for you in your life? This is profound. Remember, the last eclipse we had was back in April when we had that big new moon in Aries. Remember that? So now the first eclipse, which we'll talk about in these coming weeks, is the weaker of the two. The stronger one is the one in October in Libra. That's at the South Node. But while we are here, we are in this new moon phase, and we are opening this door. And Virgo new moons also ask us to clean the house, because Virgo loves a clean house. A Virgo moon loves a clean house. They love everything in order. And if you clean up, during the dark of the moon, you can step forward in this new moon and step into this eclipse period with a clean conscience, a clean mind, and a clean mind, because Virgo loves a clean mind. It's ruled by Mercury. So while we have this new moon, and if you're going to do a new moon ritual, it would be good. I did a space cleanse the last couple days, and I think it's good to do space cleanses during new moons, and any sort of intention setting. You can clean your house, you can clean your space, you can do a big space cleanse, but you want to do your intention setting after the new moon occurs. So after 9:56 p.m. tomorrow night in the Eastern time zone, and that's earlier for those of us in the rest of the country. And then, if you live in Europe or Asia or South Africa or Australia, you are North Africa too, yeah. You are dealing with this on Tuesday. So deal with it. It might be just best for everybody to say Tuesday the 3rd, we are going to do our setting of intentions, putting our intentions out into the world, because this is a very strong new moon as it's opening the eclipse period. You don't want to set intentions before the new moon in the dark of the moon, okay? Because you want the light to come back. Now, while this is happening, we're going to be having some other aspects that are accompanying this new moon. And this is Mars squaring Neptune. Now, Mars and Neptune are strange bedfellows, as I've said before, but Neptune is at the very end of its own sign of Pisces, and Mars is moving through the end of Gemini, going to square Neptune, a challenge, and then move into the sign of Cancer on Wednesday the 4th at 3:46 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, Mars does not love being in the sign of Cancer. Why? Because it's exalted in the sign of Capricorn, the opposite sign. It's not a great place for Mars. It doesn't mean we stop and roll over and go back to sleep, though we might feel like that. But this is important because Mars is going into Cancer, and it's going to spend some time there. It's going to slow down because it's going to retrograde in Leo in early December. Now, that's several months away, but it's going to go back into Cancer during its retrograde. So we're starting that wind down into the retrograde, okay? But Mars square Neptune is tricky, and you need to be aware, just like I said a few weeks ago with that Venus opposition Neptune. Whenever we get hard aspects to Neptune, we start to see things that are unclear. They could be a con, they could not be. Mars Neptune could very well be something very uninformed, like, oh, but I thought it was this, and it's really that. Be very careful, and just be careful. Things are slippery during this time. When you're walking, make sure your belongings are in a safe place. Either they're in your pockets where you've got your hands on them, or you're not going to be pickpocketed in any way, okay? Mars Neptune can bring that. So along with intense eclipse energies that we're starting to roll in, I would say be very careful with this. Also, this is a great time to tap into spirit. It's a great time to ask spirit for what you want. So as we set intentions after the new moon hour, and we start to look at, the experience of what we want going forward, the Mars Neptune occurs Tuesday the 3rd at 12:10 a.m. And this is something where we can set our intentions with spirit, because that's good. Mars wants to, intend to do something, create something, go forward with something, and Neptune is spirit. So setting our intentions is very strong right now, and it's actually very good for that. But just be careful. Be aligned with what is your truth. Mars sometimes wants to just get past things and just go, go, go and do it. And you have to tap into the Neptunian part of this and understand what's right for your life right now. You might be asking for something that, Mars is making an urgent matter because it's still at the end of Gemini, right? It's like, now, I want it now. And Neptune's saying, wait, it's not time yet. Okay? So alignment is very important right now. Alignment is very important. Stay close to yourself and connect with what your truth is right now. And truth is a very, very significant matter during Mars Neptune. We can fool ourselves into thinking something's right for us and it's not. So it's not just the outer world picking our pocket. It could be a very strong disalignment, misalignment with ourselves in what our desires are and what we want to move forward with. Okay? So I really recommend staying close to yourself, being very aware of what that alignment is truly about, what it feels like, how you connect to what's the truth in your life. Okay? While the new moon is going on, also, we are going to have Venus at the south node. So here's another tricky thing. Okay? It's in Libra. Venus loves to be in Libra. It's her rulership. But it is a time, oh gosh, where we could feel alone. It's Libra. You think, oh yeah, Venus in Libra is great. It is great. It's great for relationships. But when it goes to the south node, the corners of our lives that make us feel alone or lonely or disconnected from people, this is something we have to pay attention to and not overindulge. The south node is where we overindulge things. It's where old habits die hard. It's where Venus is now and going over these next few days, and she really is susceptible to getting swallowed up into the vortex of the south node. We don't want this. You pay attention to it. You don't overindulge Venus. You let her do her thing. You pay attention. You watch it go by like the traffic, like you're just watching the traffic out your window, and don't overindulge it. Don't go, I have to have that $1,000 purse, those $1,000 shoes, okay, that, $1,500 suit, I need that. Be careful with that. That's one thing. We love beautiful things right now. You can buy something special for yourself that's, not hysterically crazy and expensive. But also be very careful and watch where your addictions might float to the surface. If you feel alone and you're feeling unattached or misunderstood or disconnected, don't reach for things like shopping and eating. Okay? Reach for things that soothe the soul. Remember, the North Node is in Aries. The remedy for this is independence. So go do your thing that you need to do. Don't rely on your partner for something right now. And this is where people get in trouble, because with that Venus at the South Node in Libra, it's like, I'm alone. I'm alone in this relationship. I need more from you. I need more from you. And your partner could be really willing and very attentive and wonderful, and you still will feel like you need more from them. So this is an insatiable need with Venus at the South Node. And that's going to be going on during this new moon and when Mars squares Neptune. So Venus and Mars are doing some interesting things, and this could mean we don't see our relationships with clarity. I need more from you. I need to see more of this. I need more of that. Da-da-da-da-da. It's more of the same. Don't put pressure on other people to give you stuff, to give you emotions, to give you attention. Independence, right? That's what's important right now. Yes, you can have support people in your life. Yes, but you've got to navigate your course and let everyone step in as they can. Okay? And then as we move forward toward that Mercury square Neptune at the end of the week, we are getting the Sun opposite Saturn. On the same day or the next morning, within the 24-hour period that Mercury and Uranus square, Sun is going to be opposite Saturn. So this is a little sticky. The Sun is our life force, our vitality. It's in Virgo. It's where we take care of our body. It's where we do healing things for ourselves. It's where we set in a new diet, new exercise protocol. But Saturn is where the limitations might crop up. Oh, I don't have the energy to go out running every day. I hate gyms. Oh, I don't want to do that. Diets never work for me. Whatever. It's just cleaning up your life. And with Saturn there, it's like, it's going to show you where maybe things aren't clean. Maybe you're eating too many carbs. Maybe you are not getting enough sleep. It's just showing you where you have to allow the limits to occur or put limits on things that could be overextending yourself. And don't allow Saturn to overdo itself either, because Saturn could really be doing something like, enforcing, you got to work out harder. You've got, get up, get out of bed. Well, I'm exhausted. Well, sleep. Saturn saying, no, you've got to get up and do things. Keep it clean, do your work, whatever. Saturn's a taskmaster, even in Pisces. So when the Sun opposes Saturn, this is another opportunity for us to look at where we can clean up things in our lives and where we can have good health, invest in good health, and do things that are going to make a difference in how we feel, in our vitality. Okay? And we are also seeing next Sunday a few things with Mercury talking to Neptune and Pluto in an inconjunct, and that means that Mercury is in what we call a yod, or a finger of God, with Neptune and Pluto. This is highly intuitive. So Mercury and Uranus can be highly intuitive too, but as Mercury makes its way out of Leo, it's going to tie together the two planets that are sextiling one another, Neptune and Pluto, and connecting with them in a very intuitive way. So it's time to really tune into our intuition and use it for the good of our own lives. And then Mercury will move into Virgo late Sunday night, next Sunday, early Monday morning. But we are opening the door to the eclipses tomorrow, and energies are going to start rocking and rolling. And we have a lot to talk about during this week. So stay tuned to my Instagram, the Golden Astrologer, because I'll be out there talking about things. And I will be here next Sunday. And in the meantime, if you'd like to work with me in any capacity, you can go to my website, thegoldenastrologer.com, click Book Online, and set yourself up for an astrology session, or set yourself up for a Reiki session, which could move and shift things in your life right now. And you can also join me in expansion mentoring, which is 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. And we can work together on your life and making it better for you and rewiring your life, and how that can really move you forward towards your goals. And if you love this podcast, please subscribe on Spotify or Amazon or Apple, wherever it's reaching you. It's also available on my website, The Golden Astrologer. And please stay in touch if you have any new experiences with this new moon and the swinging open of the door of the eclipses. Well, then certainly reach out and let me know. Experiences are always welcome. I'm available at email, deb@debmcbride.com, info@thegoldenastrologer.com. Have a beautiful new moon. Set those intentions. Stay in alignment. And don't overdo it. Okay? Thank you so much for listening. Have a beautiful new moon week.